So it was almost a fight between the African representatives in the United Nations and other countries' representatives. So the Sierra Leone president, who is representing Africa, came out to say that Africa is underrepresented. Like Africa has lesser power than other countries. And he speaks of Africa having a permanent seat, otherwise having a veto power in order for them to take major decisions.
Therefore, fundamentally important to address the issue of non-representation and underrepresentation of Africa in both the permanent and non-permanent categories of the Security Council, respectively. The current lack of representation in the permanent category does not reflect the current global landscape, and it is fundamental to consider the structural changes for its rectification. It is deeply saddening to see the continued impact of historical injustice on Africa, and we must acknowledge and address these issues. Africa demands equitable representation in all UN decision-making organs, particularly the Security Council. By ensuring Africa's voice is heard, we can legitimize the UN's work and truly implement decisions that benefit the continent.
African voices need to be heard. African voices need to be heard. For how many years? For how many years are you going to keep on begging? Now, listen to this.
We are supposed to be free and independent, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Supposed to be free, the 54 countries. We come to the United Nations, it's ceremonial. Every year, September, we are there. We pay lots of money to go there. And to the General Assembly, we make speeches, we go back home, year in, year out. But the bosses in the Security Council say, you shall never have the powers that we have as permanent members. And we have asked and asked and asked. And asked and asked. Reform the Security Council.
You heard that, right? Now, my problem with these African leaders is, this is what every president that mean well for Africa keep complaining. I think Gaddafi complained about this. A lot of good president that meant well for Africa complained about this same thing. And now, the president of Sierra Leone is still complaining. This is 2024. Guys, this is 2024. I want to ask one question. Why are these people still in the United Nations? Why are they still in these meetings? Why are they still in these organizations? The organization is not helping. They know that they are underrepresented. They don't have power. The countries that have veto power is United States. We talk of France. We talk of Great Britain. We talk of, I think, China. I can't remember the other country that have veto power. This veto power means that these guys has the power to take major decisions. In other words, what they say happens in the organizations. And let me tell you, the funny thing is that these organizations was formed for Africans. In other words, these organizations only take effect in Africa. So what are the uses? What are Africans benefiting from United Nations? They keep on sending aids. For years, Africa have been receiving aids, and it's not helping us. It's not helping us. It keeps making us poorer, keep bringing us disrespect. It's disrespectful for them to keep on demanding just a permanent seat. 54 countries in Africa, 2024, you are demanding a seat in an organization that is majorly in Africa itself. United Nations, I can't even see it in other countries itself. I'm only seeing it in Congo, in African countries. And this is 2024. And why not leave? Just exit the organization. You are being disrespected. I feel so disrespected whenever they keep on begging these nations. They keep on begging begging them to include them, to be inclusive in the organization that you are part of, the organization that you are funding. And you are begging them to include you, and you know that you are very important. Like, the thing, I don't understand these leaders. What they should have done is to exit. Give them like 60 days to exit. That you want out. You don't want to be part of it. Since it's not adding any value to you, you are there begging. I feel so disrespected by even the begging. I know he raised his voice. He was demanding that Africa needs a permanent seat. Africa need a veto power. Maybe he said that he wanted them to abolish veto power. And I know they are going to respond. What would they respond? They will say, yes, Africa demands, Africa is one of the, have 1.2 billion, making 25% of the world population. So Africa needs that. And so what? And so what? How is that going to help Africa right now? Exit these organizations. This organization is ICC now. After South Africa reported Israel, up till now, ICC is not even making decision to arrest any of those leaders that is causing trouble in the world today. To tell you that United States, other Israel, other countries are even like they feel they are bigger than these organizations. To tell you that these countries are just made for Africans, and you are not the one in control. Can this let this thing make sense to us? Let it make sense to me. I don't understand it. You are an organization that you can't even take a decision. You are an organization that your opinion does not matter, and you are still there for years. Gaddafi complained about it, Mugabe complained about it, and nothing is there. Nothing has ever been achieved with these organizations in Africa. They keep on sending aids that brings disrespect to us, aids that have never helped any country to even emerge. See what we are seeing in Africa today.
Africa wants the veto abolished. However, if UN member states wish to retain the veto, it must extend it to all new permanent members as a matter of justice. The common African position is premised on the fact that by rectifying historical injustice, the international community will not only promote greater fairness, equity, and equality in global governance, but also act on the imperative to ensure the legitimacy and effectiveness of the Council. Africa has long been marginalized in global decision-making processes, and its voice are often drowned out. This results in a lack of meaningful representation on issues that directly affect the continent, such as conflict prevention, peacekeeping operations, conflict resolution, and sustainable development. This systemic bias perpetrates a cycle of marginalization and reinforces the false notion of Africa as a passive actor in shaping global affairs.
So that African voices are heard. In 1945, most of today's African countries were still under colonial rule and had no voice in international affairs. This created a glaring omission that has remained unresolved until now. There is no permanent member representing Africa in the Security Council, and the number of elected members from the continent is not in proportion to its importance. We cannot accept that the world's preeminent peace and security body lacks a permanent voice for a continent of well over 1 billion people.